Perfect. Let everyone join. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first workshop. If you guys like, please turn your cameras on. We'd love to see your faces and say hello. During the presentation, please just keep mics off, but you can unmute for the first minute or so and say hi. Hi, everyone. And we have Victoria with us, which I know we're all so excited about.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. I'm still trying to figure out how I can see everybody at the same time. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're good. Perfect.
Yeah, welcome to our first workshop. Thank you all so much for signing up for this program and for contributing to the fundraiser. It means so much to me. I'm so excited to be kicking it off today and have Victoria here. Thank you so much for being here, Victoria.
I'm
Yeah.
so excited to be here, and I'm really happy that I can see some familiar faces, some new faces. It's really exciting. So I'm really excited to get into it.
Yeah, we have a couple people still just joining. So Victoria, maybe do a little intro of
For
who you
sure.
are.
Yeah, let's do it. So I've been connected with Sophia now for a little while. I am an actress and dancer from Toronto. I've been dancing for 23 years. That ages me. And I've been acting since I was 13. And I think just kind of obviously, as some of you may know, I was on a show in Canada, still am, called The Next Step. And it's kind of catapulted my career to a lot of different opportunities, such as being a judge for personality pageants. And I think over the course of me working with personality pageants in the last year almost, I've just met so many incredible women that are really deciding to do something for themselves. And I think that is a lot of what we strive to do as women, is putting ourselves first and really putting ourselves out there. And that's what I always try to do in my life and my lifestyle, especially as a performer, is really be conscious of my talent and my ability, but also how can I give back to the community. And I feel like that's exactly what we're doing today. And yeah, so that's just a little bit about me and why I'm here today to talk to you guys. I myself have actually never competed in a pageant, but I understand the pressures of what it's like to compete and to be on stage and have to perform, and there be a lot of pressure on you and nerves and just anxiety. And that's definitely something that I deal with every day. You know what I mean? Just putting myself out there. So that's exactly why I'm here today to talk to you guys.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I bet a lot of you guys know this, but Victoria has been the guest judge at two pageants, last year's Nationals, which I competed in, and this year's Queen Alberta, which is crazy. So she's seen the whole world and been kind of behind the scenes as a judge.
It's so cool. It's awesome. Like, just seeing the hard work that you all put in, and to come out on stage, and just the community that you all have. It's really cool. I'm like, I don't know. It just makes me so happy to be a part of it. So it just brings me a lot of joy for sure. So thank you, Sophia, for that.
Well, we're so excited to have you here. I think we're good to kick it off with the presentation,
For sure.
right into it. And then I think girls will kind of be joining as they can. But thank you all for coming so early and being here. We're so excited.
Yay. All right. Okay, let's get started. I have prepared a little presentation for you guys, just kind of going through combating performance pressures. So let me share my screen. We just tested it out. Hopefully it works again.
Yeah, and just as a little side note for everyone, we're going to have some time for questions at the end. So make note of any questions you have.
hmm Yes. So absolutely at the end, I'll open the floor for any questions you might all have. Hold on. Let's see where, there we go. Yeah, so today we're just going to be talking about how I personally have been able to combat performance pressures. I personally feel like I'm obviously not a therapist. I didn't major in psychology, but I think I can relate to all of you on how you're feeling, with your upcoming pageants and the pressures that you might have felt in the past. So let's get right into it. Yeah, so like I said, let's face it, performance pressure is really hard. Today, we're going to be chatting a little about how I personally have experienced the personal pressures of being a professional dancer and actor. Like I said, I've been in acting and dancing for so long, and I am actively auditioning every day, putting myself out there. So I know what it feels like to succeed in that world, but also feel rejected as well. And I think that's just also a part of being in the pageant world is you feeling like you've really succeeded at something, but also you might feel a little bit rejected or that things didn't go your way that day. And that's okay because that is a part of the process. I'm going to walk you through how I'm going to give you 5 tips and tricks on how I personally have been able to combat the anxieties of performing. So let's get into it. I'd say my first one for you guys is normalizing your nerves. As you embark on tackling the pageant world, it's important to remember your nerves and excitement are normal. To be nervous means that you care. So for me, as a dancer growing up in the competitive world, I always felt like, entering into the weekend where it's competition, it's so exciting, but it's also really scary. But that nervousness and those feelings of being scared means that I care about it. I'm really investing my time to show up and to show out. And if I wasn't nervous, that means that I probably don't care that much. And I think we need to normalize that. We need to accept that and understand that being nervous is definitely a part of the process. You guys have dedicated yourself to do something that you really care about, and with that comes discomfort. And for me personally, I feel like anytime I've felt uncomfortable in situations, I'm actually growing so much more than I think I am. And I think that's also just a part of being a human being, right? So anytime we put ourselves in uncomfortable positions, we're actually pushing ourselves to be that much better and to grow. But in the moment, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But I think it's okay if we just accept that. Also, just take comfort in knowing that what you're doing is absolutely incredible. You're putting yourself first, and that is something that I think is so honorable and beautiful. Like I said, especially as women, I feel like we tend to sometimes take a back seat to certain things or feel like, we need to be the carer or the provider. And I think what you guys are all doing for yourselves, some of you are a little bit younger, some of you are older. It's just incredible to see you all be a part of this journey and to really accept the fact that the nerves and the anxieties are just a part of this. So that's kind of my take on number 1 is normalizing your nerves. Also, I just love this little emoji. I had to add it. Number 2 would be being extra prepared. When you put in the work beforehand, you're going to feel a sense of ease on the day of. I know for some of us, we've competed before, some of us haven't. So I'd say, just being as prepared as possible for the weekend that you're going to embark on is super important. Growing up in dance, growing up in acting, I always have tried to strive to be better every day, all day, because I think there's no such thing as too much knowledge. And with being in the pageant world becomes a lot of responsibility that you guys are all absolutely ready for, because if you weren't ready for it, you wouldn't be here today. You've showed up, and I think that's so incredible that you already are ahead of the game on being prepared. A motto I live by is there's no such thing as being too prepared. Like I said, you've showed up today because you're willing to put in the work and prepare yourself mentally for whatever comes your way. And just a reminder, you could be so prepared, but that doesn't always set you up for success. That's just a part of feeling at ease and feeling better about what you're going to embark on. My third tip and trick would be finding comfort in your community. Today we have, I think there's 15 of us on here. Is that right? I think. Yeah, I can't see everyone, but even like just 15 of us being in this same space today is so incredible to hear each other, to see each other, to ask questions. Being a part of personality pageants, I feel like just from me seeing from an outsider's point of view as a judge, it's just so incredible to see how many people show up for themselves and find community in one another. How many of you have met each other through this experience? I know I have met so many of you, otherwise I wouldn't be here today. And it's just incredible. I think a lot of even my anxieties in dancing and acting and performing, I've I've found comfort in knowing that I'm not the only one going through this. There's a lot of other people who surround me. Look at this community that surrounds you, right? And what I've learned in being a pageant judge is that it is important to show each other support. Like I said, you all have taken this leap of faith to try something new. So a sense of ease is knowing that you are never alone. And I think that goes for everything in the mental health space. It sounds so cliche, but you really are never alone. I think there's always someone that wants to listen. There's always someone that's going to champion you and just bring you a sense of ease and comfort. So I think that's something that you all need to remember, is that you're all in this together. My fourth tip and trick would have to be comparison is the thief of joy. Now, this could be taken a few ways. I think, you know, a lot of the time when we think pageants, we think competition, we think women being pitted against each other, and comparing ourselves to one another. And that is not what I want you guys to think about and focus on. What we all need to remember is that we are all uniquely ourselves. It is so easy to begin to compare ourselves to our fellow queens, but what is important is that we appreciate our own individuality and self-expression. I know for me, this has been something that I've always struggled with, especially being a dancer. I was constantly comparing myself to my friend who could do a better trick than I could, or, you know, just even in acting, being like, I'm auditioning for this role. I don't book it. I see it on Netflix and I see, wow, the girl that booked it is beautiful and incredible. But I've always tried to remind myself that that doesn't take away from my value and my self-expression and my individuality, because I'm really special in my own ways. And that is just not the opportunity that was meant for me. So that's something that I want you all to remember and focus on. It takes a lot of courage and confidence to do what you all are doing and achieving. So please remind yourselves that you shut up for yourself and no one else. Like I said at the beginning of, you know, us talking, is just that I think it's absolutely beautiful to see you all choosing yourselves and putting yourselves first. I think there's nothing better, to be honest, to see people really go after something that they're passionate about is beautiful. And I want you all to remember that. I just really like this little, I think they're comparing, yeah, the mouse and the rat, and it's just like, I don't know. I think that's just so funny. My fifth tip and trick, you guys, is remembering to breathe. Sounds very cliche, but I'll get into this a little bit more. Do exactly as it says to do. Breathe. I want us all right now to close our eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and release through your mouth. This is actually something that I have discovered in the last year. I'm almost 26 years old. I have done a lot of work to calm my nerves. And I always try to come back to my breath work and my meditation. I used to have really, really bad anxiety that was crippling. To be honest, I'll just get really real with you guys really quick, to the point where before an audition, I'd completely shut down. I'd have a mental breakdown, crying. I can't remember what I'm doing, just kind of freaking out and getting so worked up over the fact that I can't do it. Even though I've been doing this since I was 13 years old, right? But that didn't stop me from having those negative thoughts and really feeling so disconnected from my breath and from my body. And in the last year, I really feel like I've done a lot of the work to connect to my breath, to take a moment to meditate on it, to remind myself how incredible my body is, what it's doing for me. Our heart's pumping every day, all day, without us even trying. And I think it's so beautiful that we have the chance to take those deep breaths and remember to just chill. Nothing is ever that serious. We need to just remember, you know, we need to come back to ourselves and connect to our breath, and we'll automatically start to feel a sense of ease. And last but not least, we have the ability to control our thoughts. Before you guys take the stage, remember to center yourself, remind yourself of all the hard work you have put in, and enjoy the ride. I know it also sounds cliche, but this is so much fun. We are so lucky that we all get to be a part of this journey together. And I think what's really, really cool about being a part of the pageant world, especially personality pageants, is this sense of community that you all have. And it's so much fun, regardless if you win, regardless if you lose, regardless if you messed up, there's always something better on the other side. And you guys are in the right place at the right time for the right reasons. So it's incredible. And I just wanted to add this little picture reminiscing on last summer. So yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for quickly listening to me. I'm rooting for all of you, of course. And let's chat. I think we have some questions that I want to open the floor to. Charlotte, I know you said that there's already a few that were submitted. So let's get into that. I wanted to make sure that this was also a collaborative space and a safe space for you guys to feel like you can chat with me. And yeah, so let's do it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. There we
Thank
go.
you so much for that presentation. Like, I know for me, those 5 tips are going to be so helpful the next time I'm competing, and I'm so grateful that you were able to come and share that, and the presentation looked amazing, so thank you so much. And it's also very hard to present on Zoom because you can't always see anyone or hear anyone.
I know. I'm like, sorry guys, I'm like trying to see all of you, but I couldn't. Also, I'm so nervous today. Like, I literally was getting on this call being like, okay, I'm talking about combating performance pressures. Meanwhile, I'm presenting and I was like so nervous because I feel like actually something like this is something I've never done before, but it scared me and here I am and I'm working through it and I'm with all of you and I feel really safe. So, thank you for that. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit more.
Yeah, and for anyone who's in this call that has questions, like, please use the raise hand button or put
Mhm.
something in the chat, or just wave, and we'll know that you have a question. But we'll start off with one of the submitted ones. The first one was, how have you recovered from a competition where you didn't perform your best because you let your nerves get in the way?
Mm. Yeah, this happened a lot growing up. I'm extremely hard on myself, and I think we all can relate in that way. Um, I just always was wanting to do the best I could. And I think that took a lot of like emotional maturity. Um, but I remember specifically there was one competition I went to. I think it was in my second last year of competitively dancing. So I think I was 16 or 17. And I had been working so hard all year on this one solo, just day and night, day and night, day and night, like just obsessing over it, to be honest. And I remember the girl I was competing against, she was absolutely incredible. And I remember watching her before going on, and I was just like, well, you know, if it doesn't go my way, it doesn't go my way. But there's no doubt that she is so beautiful, so incredibly talented. And I remember I went out, I had performed the best I had ever performed, and I didn't win. I came second, that's fine. But I just remember being so proud of myself for how I handled that situation because I remember walking away from it and remembering the fact that I saw her out there, I saw what she was doing, and I valued that and I understood the value she had, and it didn't take away from my own. And that was really just like a very emotional, mature moment for me where I was like, it's not about me necessarily winning. It's about how I'm handling the fact that I'm going to be faced with challenges my whole life and I'm not always going to win. I'm not always going to be number one, you know, and that's okay. But I was so extremely proud of what I did and what I was capable of doing because my hard work had really paid off in that moment and there was nothing more I could do. So I think that's kind of how I dealt with not winning that one. But like I said, you know, just also acting, I'm always feeling like rejected or, you know, being like, oh, that would have been the perfect opportunity for me. But I think what's meant for you will never miss you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's something a lot of us can relate to, especially in pageantry when there's, 20, 30, up to 80 girls all vying for one crown and everyone's
Yeah.
going to have their amazing thing. But not every time can be a winning time. Thank
Yes.
and guys, if you have questions, like feel free to jump in or raise your hand. But we have some more. The next one is, what is one of your most special memories from your years of the next step or acting in general?
Oh, I love this question. You know, I started on the next step when I was 13. I really had no idea what was going on. I was so young. I was so, I don't know, just like innocent to the whole acting world. And I think just that in itself is so special to me. I look back and I'm like, wow, I really did that. And I really was so like lucky to be a part of something that was like so much bigger than me. Um, but I think, yeah, just honestly looking back and enjoying all the little moments with each other and understanding like that was such an incredible time in my life. And I will always have that with me. Um, and it's what got me into acting. You know, I was so passionate about dance and I never really wanted to act. And my parents were like, you should try it. You know, it would be really good for you. I was really like outgoing and everything, but I didn't like it until the show came around where I could kind of blend the two worlds together, acting and dancing. And it was just like the perfect opportunity, to be honest. And I'm just, yeah, I think my most fond memories would be like when it all started, like season one. Because I was just so naive to like the whole world. And now I look back like 12 years later and I'm like, wow, I really did that. And I'm really proud of myself.
I mean, that show I think impacted all of our childhood. It's such an iconic Canadian thing. Me and my sister grew up watching it, and so many of us have gone to the live shows, and it's just been so huge and so impactful. And that's so
Thank
cool.
you. Also the support means so much to me. Thank you so much for that. It's like I feel very special to be here.
Thank you for being here. It means so
Yeah.
much. And we have a question from Sophia.
Yeah, I just thought of a question. So, are you able to share, like, when you're judging for
Mhm.
personality
Yeah.
pageants and like all the girls are on the stage and everything, what are you personally looking for? Like, what really stands out to you where you're like, ooh, like something's unique or you just
Yeah.
love? I'm really curious.
I think honestly it's in the title, like your personality shining through. I think the nerves kind of sometimes get the best of us and we don't necessarily show that little light inside of us because we all have it, right? But I think what's so special about whenever I've been judging is that I always look for that little glimpse of like even if it's like a little quirky something or other where you're like, you're making eye contact with us, you're strutting, you're looking confident, you're really doing it and showing us who you are in the little moments that you can with your walk, with your, obviously what you're wearing is incredible and we know that, but it's more so about how you're taking the stage and really owning it. I think that's really special and showing us a little bit of who you are as a person. Especially when you get down to the questions round too. I think that's like really important to really just show your morals, your ethics, like who you are as a person, is what we really care about and what we want to see.
Thank you for that. Yeah, being a judge is such an interesting side of it, and I think it's such
It
good
really is.
girls.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, I have to like judge all of you. It's like a lot, but it's cool. Like I get to see and meet so many of you. It's awesome.
Yeah. Our next question is how has the process of joining the Good Squad and representing Good American been?
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that question. Yeah, being a part of the Good Squad. If some of you aren't familiar with what the Good Squad is, it's Good Americans brand where every year they do a open casting call for women of all shapes, all sizes, usually ages I think 18 to like 30ish. Um, so similar to personality pageants, but I was contacted by them in October to apply to their open casting call, and I've seen it before. It's incredible. It's for body inclusivity, body confidence, which is something that I've definitely struggled with. So when they reached out, I was like, you know what, this would be a really cool opportunity for me to apply. And over 40,000 people applied this year specifically. I think in the past there's been even more. Um, and I was cast amongst 6 other women to shoot here in LA and the campaign just really shows diversity, inclusivity, and body confidence. And for me it means everything, especially as someone who has struggled with self-image, worth, and just me feeling confident in my own skin. And people, I remember on TikTok someone commented like, how could someone like you be lacking in confidence? And I'm like, anyone can. You never know what people have been through or what they feel, and the anxieties that they've dealt with. So for me, it was just really important to be a part of a campaign like that that really shows people, I have also too struggled with feeling confident in myself and my body, and I'm slowly accepting, the body that I'm in and what it does for me and all of these things. Because really, I mean, I think also one of my other mottos to bring up is like life is short. Like we could spend all day every day worrying about what people think of us, but a campaign like that just really was something that was special for me to accomplish for myself, and was really really cool to be a part of. And for my brand as well, it's awesome.
It's so exciting, and I think for all of us, like, younger girls to see, um, somebody be so real and talk about it, and this
Yeah,
brand that's making such cool changes and in the body
yeah,
inclusivity, it's been very cool.
yeah. It's a great wave. I think this is their 7th campaign, so it's really cool to. It feels like a little bit about like being a part of history in that way of people who are just changing the modeling world as well, because it's been one way for so long and they've really made strides to change it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And, just as a side note for everyone in the group, if you have a question and you're nervous to ask or unmute, if you send it in the chat or direct message it to me, we'll ask that as well. But we do have some more. Um, Somebody asked if you have a pre-stage ritual or superstition or anything you do right before you go out on stage.
Yeah, breathing. Kind of just coming back to like what I was saying about like my meditation work and breath work. Usually anytime I've had to enter into a room for an audition or take the stage, like I remember when I was touring with the Next Step, we were taking the stage sometimes twice a day, every day. It was a lot. But I was always nervous, regardless of what show it was, whether we were performing in Rome for 10,000 people or in Abbotsford, British Columbia for like 100 people. I was still always nervous because I care, you know? But something that I always really, really tried to do was shut everything else out. You know, like it's really easy to get distracted by everyone that's around you, things that are going on, things that are being told to you. So I always took like 20 minutes to warm up, put my headphones in, just kind of connected back to myself and my body, and then was able to have a good show. And you know what, not every day was a good show for me because that's impossible, but just centering myself before taking the stage is always really, really important.
Yeah, that's such good advice, I think, for everyone, especially right before they go out for that kind of
Hmm.
hardest round, that question and answer with all that
Hmm.
pressure to connect back to yourself and take a moment is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another question is what was it like being a cover model for the Sophia Leah mag?
I know, I love it. Oh, I'm so grateful. Sophia has brought so much like love and light into my life since meeting her. And it's not every day that you can say you are on the cover of a magazine, let alone a mental health magazine. It kind of pushed me to be more open on my platforms about mental health and ending the stigma around it and just being open with conversation. So I'm forever grateful for that opportunity because it's something that really, like I said, did push me to open up on my social media because a lot of people want to know like if I've also struggled with anxiety or depression, and I think I definitely can say that I have, and just opening up about that in the magazine was really, really cool. So it really meant a lot to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I really was excited to see that.
Mhm.
Sophia had like texted me a couple months before and been like, "Oh, I see you follow like a bunch of Next Step casts." And
Oh
when I
my god, I
saw
love
a
it.
couple months later, I was so excited, and I think a ton of us were. But we have another question, especially you mentioning social media there. Somebody is asking, what advice do you have for dealing with the negative side of social media?
Yeah, that's something that I still am working on dealing with. Yeah, I've gotten a lot. I mean, I'm pretty lucky, or yeah, I'm grateful in the way that I haven't received like a lot of hate or anything like that online, but I've definitely received comments, definitely regarding body image things, and growing up on TV, like being 13 to now being almost 26, like my body's changed a lot. And that's normal because I'm a human being, right? Like it would be weird if I didn't change from 13 to 26. So I have definitely received like hate and messages and just weird things, obviously, as well. And I typically just tend to like delete, block. For me, I think it's important to really shut those people out because at any time I'm even looking at it, I'm feeding into it and giving it energy that it doesn't even deserve to have. But there's no doubt that it can get to you, and it's definitely gotten to me at times. But just kind of actually talking to someone about it and how I'm feeling, whether that be like a friend or a family or a therapist, like I definitely feel like I've overcome um, those feelings of being like, okay, this person is really just has nothing to do with me, and they don't they shouldn't contribute to my happiness or my lack thereof. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something everyone can deal with, no matter
Hmm.
how big or small your platform. Comments can just really be
Yeah.
impactful. That's a great
Yeah.
tip. Um, I see Callie has a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. First, I just want to thank you, Victoria, for like doing this today. Like, I think it was really helpful for me. Like, I'm not a pageant person, but just hearing you talk about your anxiety and whatnot. So my question would be kind of for you, what has been the most helpful thing to help you kind of um get to a place where you're better in your anxiety and kind of because I remember you saying that before you would kind of break down and cry before auditions. So what's something that you've done that I think that's hopefully at least improved your mental health and got you to a better place?
Oh, that's such a good question. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, I think over time I really started to remove pressure from these auditions and from these opportunities, and I've realized, the more pressure I put on myself to be perfect, probably the less it's going to happen because there's no such thing. Um, and just really realizing and talking to people about it is like, have you ever felt like this, and being like relatable and understanding that it's normal. And yeah, removing pressure. I think it's so easy for all of us to get caught up in our own heads and be like, this situation needs to work out for X, Y, and Z reasons. But I also realized whenever, I would have that mental breakdown or be like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Every time I did, and I was able to, because that's the power of your mind, right? Yeah, so I think just removing the pressure and understanding that if it's not meant for me, it's not meant for me, and it doesn't have to be. But I'm putting myself out there, I'm trying, and that's all that matters. So yeah, I think it's like, yeah, it's easier said than done, but taking a load off. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that answer. Another question's been submitted, and it's, what do you do to keep adding to your skill set and evolving as a performer?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think I've definitely hit walls and feeling like I don't know how to improve anymore, but I think there's always ways for us to improve, whether that be as a performer, as a human, as, just in general in life. I think having the mentality that there's always more that we could do is great, but also like sometimes we don't have that mental capacity to be like want to do more or achieve more, and that's okay as well. But I consistently stay training. I take classes still in acting and whatnot. For me, sometimes my homework is like watching a movie over and over again that I really love, and being like studying how Kate Hudson, really got into her character and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. That's like a very niche example. But I feel like I'm always just looking for ways to like improve, like I said, whether that be studying somebody that I really look up to, or, reading a book on it. I've really gone into um, like reading about different actors and performers in their lives and how they've gone through certain trials and tribulations. My favorite is autobiographies. So I think just kind of finding, you know, the people that you kind of look up to and want to, emulate is a great way to kind of improve in your skill set, because I think we always can improve, but also like we're probably doing the best we can at the moment. So it's okay if you don't have the room or the capacity to want to improve. So, yeah. I hope that answers that question. I don't know.
Totally does. I think it's really interesting, especially for someone like you who's been doing it for so long, since you were so young,
Yeah.
especially to be able to like find that inspiration and those different things that help you keep
Yeah.
growing as a performer and as a person. That's so interesting.
And like you said, inspired, right? I'm always like, how can I find new ways to stay inspired, to stay hungry, to stay humble, all of the above. I think there's inspiration all around us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and Araya, you can go ahead with your question.
How do you find time to like balance acting and then also your personal life? Or like what are some tips that you do to like help balance both of those?
Hi, how are you? It's good to see you.
I'm good. It's good to see you. I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, I'm so happy too. A really good question. I think I'm still figuring that out. To be honest with you, I am like sometimes an extremist, and I'm get so obsessed with something and I'm really like locked in on it, and that's all I can think about. But I've really, really tried to just like pull back and be like, okay, things in my career are maybe not really progressing in the way that I want them to, but I'm taking all the necessary strides to do that. So that's balancing out on its own. What can I do in my personal life to stay happy, to stay inspired, to feel fulfilled? Because if I'm just pouring 100% into my career, I'm not going to feel 50% fulfilled in my personal life. So I think it's just carving out that time to spend time with the people that you love, you care about, that you want to be with, be around. I think surrounding yourself with positive, like minded people is also super important, because I've had people in my life that have kind of dragged me down in the past or been negative and not wanted to see me succeed. I think it's really important to like rid yourself of that. And I feel like with that comes a balance. You are able to focus on your career and your goals and your aspirations, while also balancing out with people around you that want to support you and love you, and you want to spend time with them, because then you feel inspired all around. But I am still figuring that out, because sometimes I tend to go too far on the totem pole and be like, okay, I need to just do this, and I'm like, wait, hold on, you got to take time for yourself, you got to take care of yourself and take care of your mind, because we need this.
Thank you. And thank you, Anaya, for your question. I think it's so relevant, especially with like everyone in this call I know personally and I know are such
Mhm.
high achievers and want to say yes to everything, but to be able to find that balance and
Yeah.
in taking care of yourself and doing all the things that you love and want to do.
Yeah.
Bryn, go ahead.
Hi there. I
Hi.
had hi. You mentioned this briefly that you experienced backlash from like people in your personal life, especially when starting, I assume. How did you deal with that?
Do you mean like with like friends or family?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely it was very difficult for me growing up doing the show and being in high school and like wanting to be a normal teenager, but also like filming a TV show and like getting all these like Instagram followers and feeling like I'm not really normal. And it was really hard for me to like shut out that negativity because there was people in my life at the time that I thought really like cared about me and wanted to see me succeed, and they are no longer in my life. You know what I mean? So I think it takes time sometimes to recognize when someone doesn't have your best interest or doesn't support you. And unfortunately, if they don't support you, then they're probably not meant to be a part of your journey. I think that's easier said than done with friends. With family, I feel fortunate enough that I've been able to have the support from family. But I think also if it's something that you really love, you need to go after it. You need to try. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You know what? You're going to be rejected, and it's like it is what it is. Um, but yeah, I think if it's something that you're really passionate about and something that you really want to do, such as pageants, I think it's worth a try. And regardless of what people say, regardless of what opinions they might have, they're not in your shoes and they can't tell you how to walk in them because they've never been in them. So, yeah, I think it's worth going after regardless of what people think.
Thank you. I love that take, and I think all these girls are doing that, going after everything, and it's so nice,
Yeah.
that encouragement. Um, Another question is, how do you find the motivation to be present on social media? You're super present across your platforms, and also find the balance between posting and creating content, but also living your own life and not feeling the pressure to record, if that makes
Yes. Very good question. Again, this is another one that I still struggle with that I'm still figuring out. Um, I've really chosen to post what feels organic to me and what feels good for what I think people want to see, but also sometimes I do overthink it and sometimes I'm like, well, maybe that's not really authentic to my brand, but if I'm have this voice in my head that's telling me that I should post it, then maybe I should. And I've kind of just been going off that intuition and that feeling of like what feels good for me to post and what doesn't feel good for me to post and share. There's moments in life that I think deserve to be private and not shared with everyone. And also I think I've been balancing out on how to find like the balance between not feeling like I have to post everything and then also keeping things out there in the public as well. I think it's just, yeah, going with your gut and what feels good to post and what feels good to share. I think people want to see, what you're doing, what you're up to, because again, it comes back to us feeling like we're in a community and it being relatable. But if it feels unorganic, then it's probably not deserving to be on your platform. So that's kind of been my lead with what I post and what I don't post.
Yeah, those are great tips to use and to find that balance. Something else that's been asked is what's next for you, and if you have anything exciting coming up that you could give us some insight into.
Yeah. Yeah, lately I've just been choreographing quite a bit. I'm heading to Australia in 3 weeks to teach out there, and I'm really excited. Um, so I've just been, yeah, teaching quite a bit. Hopefully this summer we're working on a project that I can't share yet, but on set back in Toronto. And I've just been kind of going with the flow of the opportunities that have come across my table, such as even today. I feel like, when you have that open mindset and open heart, things will take you, wherever you need to be, which is awesome. I think when you're open, you can receive things that you never thought you could. And that's kind of just been my vibe these days is just kind of staying open and staying present and seeing what happens next. But I definitely do want to continue to push in my acting career. I've been working really hard to, get on that next series or that next film. I just wrapped a film in March that shot in Toronto and it was really fun and it challenged me in ways. So I want to just continue to do that.
That's so cool. Thank you. We're gonna have to keep our eyes out for that next
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Um, And for everyone in the call, we have about 10 more minutes. So if you have a question, now's the time. I see we have 2 more already. Yeah, Willow, what's your question?
Um, Hi, I also first want to say Charlotte and my mom, I'm Charlotte's sister. We saw you perform in Kelowna and it was like one of our favorite memories, like us going together. And we were obsessed with the show. So that was like our favorite thing.
Oh, I remember the Kelowna show. Like, it's one of the only, no, I shouldn't say only, because we did like over 50 shows in such a short amount of time. And I literally remember the show in Kelowna. So that's crazy that you guys were there. That's so cool.
Oh, we had the best time and the
Oh,
show was
good.
amazing. And like not a lot of shows come to Kelowna too. So
Yeah,
that was really
it's
cool.
beautiful. I want to go back.
Yes, please come back. But I'm not exactly in the pageant space. I'm on the call, like supporting my sister. But something I think like relates to a lot of people is I just graduated university and I spent 6 years there. So I'm kind of wondering what your experience was transitioning after you stopped the next step, which is I think kind of like where you grew up, right? And like for me, I'm finding it a really weird transitional period where like I was so used to being a student and now I'm out and I don't know what to do now. So I'm wondering how you handled sort of transitioning out of that phase of your life and into like a new one with positivity. I'm finding it like a bit challenging.
Yeah, that's so valid and fair because when I finished doing the show like more full time, I kind of did go into a darker place if I'm being honest mentally because I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like this is all I've known since I was so young. So the same applies for you as a student, right? So especially for 6 years, it's a long time, um, spent, in school. But I think all of the things that you probably have learned being in school has set you up for whatever opportunity is going to come across. Wait, where'd you go? There you are. Sorry. I'm like trying to find um, whoever I'm answering the question to. There you are. Um, I think for me, what I found comfort in was knowing, what I'm good at, what I succeed at, what makes me happy outside of school or dancing or being on the show, all these things. I'm like, okay, well, what is it as like Victoria that makes her happy? What can I do in my everyday life to just and insert these little things that will just bring me back to like who I am as a person and not what's defining me? Because I think for a really long time I let my job and my career and all these things define me and my worth. And I had to remember and remind myself, okay, well, I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to be successful with something else right away. It'll happen, but it's patience and it's time and it's effort and it's conversations that are hard and it's uncomfortableness that you're gonna feel. Um, but I think just coming back to like what makes you happy and what you really enjoy doing in your spare time and figuring that out because I think we a lot of the times let these little moments define who we are and our worth, and that's not really what like life's about. Not to get too deep, but that's not really why we're all here. We're here to connect and be present and enjoy things that don't have to do with work or school or finances and stuff. So I think that's something that I've really tried to come back to when I was kind of struggling finishing the show was like, okay, well, what do I want as a human being, not as an actor or dancer? I hope that helps.
Thank you. Yes, that's a great answer.
Okay, cool. Okay, we got 2 more.
Yes. Sammy Joe, do you want to ask your question?
Sammy Joe, how are you?
Sorry, it takes me forever to find buttons on this thing. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, so my question's a little personal. I grew up in a small town. One thing that we always do is compare ourselves to others. There's 2,000 people in my town. Like, that's kind of what we do. So when I moved to a big city, one thing I really noticed that I'm working on, and I'm kind of at a stump, is jealousy. So I want to know, you're in the front of auditioning and seeing so many girls, so many amazing talents, and you're talented yourself. How do you work on jealousy and recognizing your own talents and not being constantly feeling like you're shadowed? And you can kind of encourage other people while you're encouraging yourself. You know what I mean? I'm kind of working on that balance.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Also, 2,000 people is very small, so
Yeah, it's pretty small here. I think there's literally a cow up behind my house and a few people down the road. Not That's my town.
that's wild. Yeah, I mean, good for you though for also taking that leap to do some like so you don't live in the 2,000 person town anymore? No? Okay. Which, okay, that in
Yeah.
itself is incredible. I feel like that's so honorable and incredible that you did that for yourself, you know? But I think, yeah, definitely with my career, I mean, I still feel it sometimes, but I think just over time I've understood that, like I said earlier, whatever is not meant for me, what is meant for you will never miss you. I've gotten so close on so many jobs where I'm like, that would be career changing, that would be life changing because, you know, I've had success in my career, but we always want more. We always want what we can't have and stuff. And I think anytime I've missed out on those opportunities or they didn't choose me, I, you know, obviously immediately feel like I'm so jealous of the person who got it. I wish that was me. But then I realized, well, if it was me, this wouldn't have worked out. I wouldn't have met this person. I wouldn't have gone there. And I'm like, maybe that wasn't for me then. Maybe that wasn't the right opportunity that I was supposed to be presented with. And I think it's just about the right timing because there's been a lot of times where I'm like, oh, that would have been awesome. And that would have changed my life, like I said, but maybe I wasn't ready for it. Maybe it wasn't the right timing. And I think I'm still learning that. I'm still figuring out how to not be upset about, you know, a job that I didn't get or whatever it is. But also, I think the right one is going to hit, the right opportunity will hit, the right job, the right, you know, even like relationship, everything applies in your life in that way. And I think just taking a step back and realizing when it doesn't work out, it's probably for the best. Hope that helps.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And I think we probably have time for 2 more questions. We'll let Callie ask, and then if anyone has a final question they want to get in, now would be the time to raise your hand. But go ahead, Callie.
Okay, yeah. Sorry for another question here. This one is like incredibly niche. But I know that you're professional dancer, like you're on the next step and you've done other things as well. So because you're professional, you can be contested, but would you ever consider doing like Dance with the Stars like a pro, or like is acting more something you want to be doing?
That's such a good question. I make this joke all the time I live with another girl who's from Toronto. And I'm like, oh, it'd be so awesome one day if I was on Dancing with the Stars. She's like, dude, you can't be on Dancing with the Stars. You're a professional dancer. And I was like, yeah, but like they don't have to know that. I'd love to. I think doing I think I for a long time I thought I had to put myself in a box of like I can only be a professional dancer or I can only be an actor. And I've really pulled myself out of that ever since COVID really because I'm like, wait, if I can like maximize my opportunities and really just try to put myself out there in every avenue, whether that be choreographing and teaching and having students, that be auditioning and really doing that, I'm going to be that much more happier in my creativity. And that's really what I've been doing in the last, yeah, like 2, 3 years. I started teaching at a studio here in LA and it's been so inspiring. It's never going to pay as much as, you know, a job would on set, but I feel lucky enough and flexible enough that I've been able to still work on set on other jobs and still be able to creatively be inspired by choreographing and everything. But yeah, I definitely think that I've now been able to be like, well, the two can exist because I thought for a really long time, especially when I moved to LA, I was like, well, these people are professionally dancing and auditioning for J-Lo and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think I really want that. But ideally, if I can still dance and get opportunities and be paid for that, that's awesome. While also auditioning and striving towards, you know, being a better actor and really putting myself out there in the film industry and learning so much more about film, I'm going to feel just so fulfilled because it's what I love. So I'm trying to do both. And hopefully one day in my ideal world, I'd book another job like a movie like Footloose where I get to act and dance. It's like, that would make me so happy. So we'll see.
So cool. Thank you so much. I was just gonna say we need like a Step Up reboot or something
I
like
know,
that.
like a new something, you know what? And my friend was like, maybe you should write it. Maybe this is your opportunity to write a script that could be for that. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. So we'll see.
That would be so cool. And
Yeah.
our last question is, have you dealt with imposter syndrome and do you have any tips for handling feeling like you're out of place or you don't belong?
Yeah, I've definitely dealt with imposter syndrome many times in my career and in my life. I think the earliest memory of that was when I was growing up in dance and feeling like, you know, I was good and great at what I did, but I'm never going to be as good as that other girl or just comparing myself. Like I said, the comparison is the thief of joy. Um, And I think how I've really gotten through that is just understanding that I am so incredibly great in my own way. I don't need to be like that other person that I'm comparing myself to, because that's not who I was born to be. I think just realizing your worth, standing up for yourself in situations where people try to belittle you or make you feel like you are lesser than, is really important. And I think that comes with time. I don't think, like, when I was even 5 years ago, I don't think I would be able to handle myself in situations that I've been put in front of now as well as I do now. So I'm just kind of finding that stride as well, and dealing with imposter syndrome and realizing, I deserve to be in every room. I deserve to be seen. I deserve to be validated, and I deserve to be heard. And I think we all do. And I think that's what's so cool about actually even being a part of the pageant world, is I feel like everyone gets the opportunity to feel seen, to feel validated, and to feel, just a community, which is really awesome. So yeah, I think we all can help each other with the imposter syndrome, because I think we all experience it.
I think that is very true. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for all your insights. I think I lied. We have one more question. And
Okay.
it's from me. I
Okay.
am curious your favorite thing you've done this year, like project, post
Yeah.
experience, your favorite one so far for 2024.
Thus far would have to be the Good Squad. I think it was an opportunity that I was never expecting to be a part of, and it kind of just happened. And I think that's when the best things happen, is when you least expect it. Yeah, so far it's been just the best experience ever. Just, receiving so much love and support online, I didn't expect that at all. It's just been a really cool brand to be a part of. I did not get to meet Chloe, which is so sad. Um, but I got to meet Emma Greed, who also owns the company with Chloe, and she was so kind. She was so sweet, and everyone that I worked with, I was really nervous going into it, because I wasn't sure about the other girls too. I was like, maybe these girls are like real models, and they like do runway. I didn't know what anyone looked like or anything. Like, I didn't know where anyone was from, and I found such a sense of community in them. We still talk like every day on Instagram. We'll send each other, because one of the girls is in like London, UK, and then the other girls are on the East Coast in like Columbus, Ohio. So we're all over the place. There's one other girl that lives in California, but I've just found such a lovely community in these women who, want to do something to empower themselves. So I think that's probably been my favorite experience so far. But I'm really excited to go to Australia, hopefully come back to personality pageants in the summer and see all of you. So there's good things to look forward to.
Yeah, that is so cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to everyone in this call for all the questions and for being here.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys so much. I've had such a good hour with you guys. I feel so inspired, and I can't wait to see what you all do.
Oh yeah, Sammy Joe. Yeah.
I was just wondering, before we take off, could we grab a quick picture so we can kind of remember
Yes.
this? Tag everybody.
I want to
Okay,
take a picture too.
I'm gonna
I'm
take
gonna end up. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'll end up having to take two, because there's two different screens, and I want to make sure I get everybody, if that's okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, everybody, if you can turn your camera on, turn that on and pose. We'll let Sammy Joe take her picture, then everybody will take a screenshot, and then we
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just like move the Elf on the Shelf box real quick. Okay, perfect. Okay, I have to get one more of the other screen, make sure I have everybody. Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, I'm gonna take one too right now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right, smile. Perfect.
Okay, and everyone smile one more time for me to get a screenshot of the computer so I can have all of it. And I will share this with everyone here, so I'll have it. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Got it. Thank you, guys.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's it for the call. Thank you all so much for being here. I know all of you are signed up for the rest of the program, so check your emails and come to the rest of the workshops that are coming up. But yeah, thank you guys, and I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.
Just wanted to say thank you one more time before we all head out. Thank you so much for all the questions, and just even through a computer screen, I feel like support from you guys and love. So it really means a lot to me, and good luck with everything. I'm so excited to see what you all do.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you guys so much.